follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board in this hour, 15 minutes from right now. We'll go over power ratings in the divisional round. 30 minutes, Manti Te'o joins the program. We'll get his thoughts on the two games as well. And here we begin with best bets in soccer this weekend as Steve Wyss joins the program. You can follow him on X. He is at MeatmanSoccer. He is with the Nordic Football Pod. And because we win, Steve, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. Let's begin with the big match coming up this weekend. City taking on Chelsea. And how are you breaking down this game, specifically looking back at what happened last night in the Champions League when City lost to PSG 4-2?
Well, hello, guys. I hope you're doing really well. And I was actually a backer of PSG last night myself on the draw no bet handicap. It was the first time that PSG came from 2-0 down to win a game, any game, since 2012. Oh. So it was quite a remarkable comeback. And for it to happen against Manchester City just shows you the state that Man City are in. If Man City went 2-0 up against anyone in the last, say, decade, like, you would not come back very often, if at all. But they've got a massively soft defense now. I think every single team in the Premier League and in Europe believes they can score against this team. So whenever I'm looking at Man City games at the minute, you've got to be looking at goals, you've got to be looking at overs, because anyone is fancying their chances. And the goal line, I honestly believe the goal line on the Asian would be nearly 4 for this game, or 3.75. We can get a 3.25 goal line at minus 110, so close to even money here. So if we only get 3 goals, we're only losing half the stake. We need 4 or more goals for this bet to cash. And I think there's a massive chance of that happening because City are defending so badly, they're conceding goals. But, you know, the likes of Haaland have improved of late. Chelsea have got goals in them. They've got a lot more goals in them if Nicholas Jackson can start finishing. He's a frustrating striker for a lot of people, but he's getting the chances. And you know what? I mean, Man City are actually plus money to win this game now. Plus 110 in some places. Chelsea plus 250.
When does that happen? Sorry to jump in. How often does that? When do you see Man City plus money to win at home in a league game?
Rarely. Like, this is like maybe against Liverpool in the last few years. That's it. Maybe against Arsenal. This is so rare against Chelsea. But if Chelsea win the game, I'm not going to be surprised. Like, Chelsea have been kind of stinking the place out a bit in the last few weeks. This might be perfect for them. They're going to get a lot of space, time in behind. I mean, I wouldn't put off anyone wanting to back Chelsea here at plus 250, but I think it's got to be the goals. This could be an absolute shootout end to end. Something wild like 4-3 wouldn't surprise me.
Beautiful.
Goal line's too low. It's way too low, this goal line at 3.25.
Excellent. I'm rooting for you, and that's the late one on Saturday. Also, let's stay on Saturday. You tipped Everton. Good job. The win last week. More goals. Brighton, Everton, Saturday. Take it away, Meat Man.
I had a poor week last week, but Everton did save me. And I think, I really liked what I saw from Everton. The new manager, David Moyes, has come in and he's given them a bit more life. He's given them a bit more belief. And I think this could be a good chance to attack the goal line over here. Over 2.5 goals, minus 105. I'm pretty sure this is priced up on reputation of Everton as a club, perhaps under their previous manager, Sean Dyche. He was very defensive, very negative. They weren't scoring goals. But last week, I think they found something. They beat Spurs 3-2. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who, let's remember, he was in the England squad, I think, for the last World Cup. But his confidence has gone and his injury record wasn't very good. But he looked a lot better last week, scored a goal. He can maybe kick on from that. Brighton are a little bit similar to Spurs. I think they're going to give Everton a bit of space in behind, and I think Everton's going to make the most of that because Moyes is going to have more of an offensive game plan. We've got to remember that Brighton matches average exactly 3 goals per game this season. So this is an offensive team. More often than not, both teams score, yes, in Brighton games. You cannot trust them to keep clean sheets. So I think this is going to be a way more offensive game than people think. Brighton goal lines are normally 2.75 or 3 or even higher. It's only this low because of Everton's reputation. And as we all know in betting, reputation, we've got to try and ignore that. We've got to look at what is in front of us here and now. Things change. And the new manager, David Moyes at Everton, is going to make them certainly, I'm not saying they're going to be like enterprising, unbelievable, all-out attack football. But it is going to be a case of he's going to give them chances on the break and from set pieces and offer way more of a threat than it used to be. Over 2.5, straight over 2.5 goals for me, minus 105.
All right, let's go to Sunday. Another total. You want to play the under? Aston Villa, West Ham. Tell us why.
Well, there's a new manager at West Ham, and it's Graham Potter, the former Brighton and Chelsea manager. And I do like Potter. I've followed his career for a long time since he was in Sweden. Great manager. He's going to sort West Ham out. But he's come into a tough situation that nearly all of his attacking players are injured, or the majority of them, the starters anyway. So, I mean, they beat Fulham 3-2, but they only had 4 shots in the entire game. They scored 3 goals from 4 shots, and that is so unsustainable. Last week, they lost against Crystal Palace. They had 7 shots, and none of them were on target. So this is the problem that Potter's got right now. He may as well be Harry Potter and try and wave his magic wand, like I've said. He's just not going to get anything out of these players right now until the injuries come back. So I'm led to the under because I don't think West Ham are going to score in the game. And Aston Villa look really tired to me. I watched them against Monaco in the Champions League. They lost 1-0. And I just think that they're struggling to cope with the amount of games they've had this season. They're not used to being in Europe, and certainly not at the Champions League level. So I think Aston Villa could be a bit flat. West Ham are not offering a goal threat. They actually played against each other in the FA Cup recently, and it ended over. Villa won the game. They came from behind. But again, there weren't that many chances in the match. So I think on this occasion, we do go under the 2.5 total. We can get under 2.75 goals at even money. So if it's exactly 3 goals, we only lose half the stake. But in terms of match result here, I'm thinking Aston Villa maybe could win this 1-0. It could even be a low-scoring draw, 1-1 or something like that. Even the 0-0 detector might be going, because maybe this is like one of those sneaky 0-0s, because I think Potter will realise that he's not got the weapons right now, so he's got to set up more defensive. And Villa are not always that good against defensive teams. So the goal line looks too high for me, based on what we've seen recently, guys.
I'm getting goosebumps here, because if Man City lose, Villa win, and a couple clubs behind them win, suddenly Man City's down to like 8th, 9th in the table, right? And then if the point deduction comes, bye-bye.
You'll be getting very excited, won't you?
Yes, that's crazy. Imagine how big that drop is. That'd be nuts. Oh, we're sitting here like patients on a monument again. Come on, how about a prop you like, Wolves and Arsenal?
I've got to flag this guy up because Wolves against Arsenal this is now. Wolves have conceded 51 goals this season. Incredibly, 19 of those goals. So what's that? About 33% of the goals are from set pieces. So from corners or free kicks, basically. It's not including penalties. That's a huge number. That's absurdly high. So we've got to be thinking that Arsenal are going to score from a set piece in this match. Who's the best team from set pieces in the Premier League? Arsenal. This is not a good concoction for Wolves at all. Now, I don't know who's going to win the game. Well, I think Arsenal will win the game, and I think there'll be a few goals in it. But I'm going to take their defender, the Brazilian defender, Gabriel Magalhães, to score at any time, plus 700. He is their biggest threat from set pieces. No one ever seems to mark him properly. And this is just too big. Against the worst team from set pieces, he can get his head on one of these and put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, for those who want to play it safe and who can access the markets, a shot on target for Gabriel Magalhães, or even over 1.5 just shots, could be worth looking at, because Wolves, they cannot defend these corners and set pieces. He's a huge centre-back who causes all sorts of trouble. And in his goal-scoring record, he scored, I think, 22 Premier League goals since he's been at Arsenal, which is a really high number for a defender, by the way. So, when I see something as big as this, I just felt I had to flag it up for you guys, because I know there's people out there who do like these big prices that are tremendous value. This should be about plus 400.
Excellent breakdown. Excellent. It's our friend Meatman, Steve Wyss, at Meatman Soccer on X on the Progressive Line. Follow the money, Pauly and Mitch Weiss, and the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. How about a total in Bundesliga?
Yeah, I mean, I don't often go into Europe too often unless it's a really sort of big bet and a really strong fancy. And I've got to go here in RB Leipzig against Bayer Leverkusen over 3 Asian goals. I can't believe this goal line is as low as it is. It should be 3.5 absolute minimum. When these two sides meet, the fireworks happen. The last 3 meetings, someone has won the match 3-2. The only defeat that Bayer Leverkusen have had this season was against RB Leipzig, actually. And that was way earlier back in August. And I think we're just going to see an unbelievable number of goals. Leipzig fixtures have been crazy of late. They were 3-0 up against the bottom team, Bochum, last week at halftime, and they blew it to end up 3-3.
Oh, God.
So that's the sort. Yeah, I mean, that's cost. Imagine in play what the odds would have been. I mean, a lot of people would have been stung by Leipzig, but it kind of sums up their problems. They cannot defend at all, but they've got unbelievable attacking weapons. The likes of Benjamin Sesko, Lois Openda, to name just but a few. These are guys that are going to end up playing probably Premier League, La Liga in time. And then Leverkusen, everyone knows they're very, very strong under Xabi Alonso, who's going to be probably the next Real Madrid manager. So they're really strong offensive side. I think they've won the last 8 consecutive Bundesliga games, full of goals themselves. So the 3 goal line on Asian here has to be the over. A full refund push if we get 3 goals exactly. This is my best play of the weekend in Europe, without a shadow of a doubt. So I had to include it in the show. RB Leipzig against Bayer Leverkusen on the goal line overs 3.
Excellent. As always, follow him on X, @MeatManSoccer, Nordic Football Pod, and Because We Win as well. Thanks, Steve. That was great.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Yeah, up next, we'll power rate the divisional round. Everything from quarterbacks to kickers coming up.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. Coming up in 15 minutes, Manti Te'o will join the program. We'll get his breakdown, who he likes this weekend in the divisional round. How do you like this round compared to, well, the championship round, compared to the divisional round and compared to the Super Bowl? Last week was the divisional round.
I would rank it third.
You go divisional round number 1, Super Bowl number 2. Then this weekend number 3?
Yeah. Also, a little bit of what you said with Paul about what Chart said. You know the end is coming. So a lot of times it does work out where you get the heavyweights. It's a great day if the big boys are playing. But if you get an upset where there's an injury and suddenly it's like, oh, boy. Like, this is a great story, but Washington this close to a Super Bowl, a 6 seed, and you take down Detroit. But
does a 6 seed really mean anything? Overall, are they a typical 6 seed? How many wins do they have now, including the playoffs? Like 14?
Mm-hmm.
I think a typical six seed gets into the playoffs with 9 or 10 wins. They had 12 wins.
Yeah, fair.
That can win most divisions.
Yeah, but it certainly would have been a much better day if it was Philly at Detroit and Baltimore at Kansas City. Or, but Buffalo at KC is still fair. It was pretty good. But I just like the more games, too, with the divisional round as well. Yeah.
So we'll power rate a lot of stuff here for the championship round. Best quarterbacks. You kind of have to go Mahomes, do you not? Number 1 overall?
No. Are they playing right now?
Well, that's the thing.
Right now, I go Allen.
That's the talking point here, right? How much do you consider current form compared to this round? This dude has never turned, like, he's amazing and doesn't lose.
I know. So the 8 games in a row, they haven't turned it over in a playoff game. You got to go back to the 50s for that. So we'll do this more tomorrow about, will Kansas City's luck run out? Will the Bills' luck run out? They're plus 24 in a turnover differential. They were outplayed last week and got 3 gifts against Baltimore. So, and even Allen didn't put up big numbers, and they still won the game. But I could have made some of those throws last week. Kelsey wide open, and again, he's got the officials in his back pocket.
Okay.
So I would have to. I could move Daniels up there too if you want to, in terms of how you're playing right now. And how dangerous you are and what you're doing also through the air. I mean, they're winning games, but Mahomes isn't putting up numbers.
Right. If we go based on right now, I would not even hesitate. I put Daniels number 1.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Then I'd have Allen number 2. Oh, boy. Hurts is hurt, so I guess I would have to go Mahomes number 3 then. But you said this with the look-ahead lines all throughout the playoffs. Like, where's the respect for the Chiefs at home?
Yeah.
So just based on who they are and what they've done, if you consider like the past 7 years, then I think Mahomes probably has to be number one here.
I want to see a repeat of the last couple of years. I want Philly to blow out Washington and Kansas City wins ugly again and Philly opens up the favorite. We could talk about that.
Oh, so then you can bet. Okay.
See that too. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, there was, one out there. Now there's some twos as well, but also based into history, and you figure that the Chiefs have to get it done, and Buffalo hasn't won a road playoff game since the early 90s.
Well, here's what I want. I want Washington and Buffalo to win low-scoring games this weekend so the Super Bowl total opens up like at 48. That's a pipe dream, probably a crack pipe dream, but under that scenario then with two low-scoring games this weekend and for those two teams to meet and play in a dome, I mean, that would be the ultimate dream come true. And from an entertainment standpoint, too, those two teams playing in a dome would be just phenomenal. Best coaches, I go Reid number 1, Quinn number 2, McDermott number 3, and then Sirianni, very easy to put at number 4.
No argument there. Concur.
Yeah. The job that Quinn has done, everybody there involved, A+. Best rushing offenses. Eagles number 1? Like, no doubt in my mind. You have to, especially if Hurts is healthy. Number 2 and 3, I really went back and forth with this. I should probably have Buffalo number 2, but I didn't. I put the Commanders at number 2 and then Buffalo number 3, but they're very close, and I have the Chiefs last.
Well, it depends on what the quarterbacks do. But, yeah, what Buffalo did against Denver was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair as well. Yep.
Best defenses. Okay, I have Philly number 1.
Number 2 points per game.
They are, stacked across the board, talent everywhere you look.
Fangio done an excellent job.
Completely agree. The Chiefs, probably a close second.
Love Spags.
Spags is the man. Buffalo number 3, Washington number 4. That's another probably easy ranking to have.
Yes.
Now, best kickers is fun because there's the number 1 kicker is with a bullet. It's Harrison Butker. But then how do you go 2, 3, and 4? I think almost, Pauly, by default, and this is your specialty here, by default, number 2 has to be Tyler Bass. Because I can't trust Elliott.
Elliott should be last.
I don't know what the hell Gonzalez is going to come out there with.
I think Elliott has to be last. I mean, the guy's missing 2 extra points. You almost cost them the game. So, okay, you made a 44-yard field goal in tough conditions, but this is... I can't trust that guy. And the issue, at least bad. I mean, that was a huge kick to make it from 51 last week.
Right.
You can't trot Elliott out there from distance. He's been a horror show all year from beyond 50.
Mm-hmm.
So you're stuck going for it at that point. And I know he had the doink and what he was doing on the sideline, but I still he was 3 for 3 in the Tampa game and hit from 52. So I would have Elliott last.
Kind of have this funny feeling that it could come down to that exact scenario this Sunday in the cold in Philadelphia. Like, which kicker is going to screw it up? How many misses, how many whiffs are they going to have?
Yeah.
In a tight game that could put, if it plays out like that.
It's also on the coaches to who's going to just say, the hell with this. I'm going for it on 4th down. I wanted the Eagles to go for 2 anyways.
Mm-hmm. And best Super Bowl matchups, again, back to what you were saying. Number 1 to me is Bills Commanders with a bullet.
I think Bills Eagles is Halle Berry. It's sexy. And that you might be there's so much talent on the field. And I love this Eagles team. And that'd be a great chess match with Fangio going against the Bills. And can they slow down Allen? And then the Barkley factor with the home run angle.
All right, Bills Eagles is 2025 Halle Berry. Bills Commanders is 1993 Halle Berry. Take your choice. I just think Bills Commanders, again, clean conditions with the way that Daniels is humming. Think about what he would go through here to get to the Super Bowl. Winning at Tampa, winning at Detroit, 3 games on the year, 0 punts. They go for it. They're electric.
There'd be 4 straight road games, too.
Yep.
And I like what Sal Pal said, though, yesterday. Imagine the stuff we get to talk about if it's Bills Mafia against the Eagle fans in New Orleans.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
My God. Number
3 is Commanders Chiefs. And number 4, the dreaded matchup that nobody wants, Kansas City and Philadelphia. This is, again, I've been sick the last 2 days. I have been on my phone for 0 minutes at all, other than scheduling stupid doctor appointments. the amount of people, this is no joke, the amount of people who have reached out to me unsolicited, haven't even heard from some of these people in weeks or months to say, please, for the love of God, no Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are bettors as well. Like I cannot deal with them.
It's a good point with the props.
Because that's another layer to it, right?
Yeah, the props.
That thing is just because think about the props if you get some of the other scenarios here that we could have.
Yeah.
Any matchup with Buffalo involved, the props are going to be fantastic.
Good guess from Kansas City yesterday, a reporter, that they are the Patriots now.
Oh, no, there's no question.
No one wants to see them, the fatigue. It's just, it's outrageous. And then going in with the officials as well. Yeah.
So that's probably what we're going to get, huh? I bet the Chiefs minus 120 on the money line as soon as the number popped up against the Bills. I'm hoping I actually lose the ticket. It's kind of like an emotional hedge because my Super Bowl Sunday for me personally will be so much more exciting if Buffalo's in.
Yeah. That's also what goes along with it. And it's the numerous shots and mentions of Swift and now Caitlin Clark and now the wife and then the parents and then the brother. And it's just too much. I can't do it every week.
Also,
I can't do it.
Here's the thing. Like, I loved Patrick Mahomes when he came out. In fact, Mahomes was like Daniels. That was technically his second year, but he was just ripping through the league. And it's like, oh my God, we've never seen anything like this guy before. And you had to watch, it was must-watch TV every single Sunday with Mahomes in that 2018 year. The shenanigans and the baiting as he's running out of bounds, there's no place for that in football. And that's just only like the tip of the iceberg with him, how he acts out there on the field, begging for calls all the time. And the two players colliding last week, again, has to be one of the all-time worst calls I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm glad Aikman lost his mind.
And the Bills fans deserve it, too.
Yeah.
After all the close calls, it'd be great to get the Bills in the Super Bowl. Just too bad what happened to Detroit. If you're the kind of player who wants to drop $10,000 or more on an NFL game at the best price in the market, or if you're looking for instant acceptance on your in-game bets, you need Sport Trade, the app that's revolutionizing sports betting. $4 lines instead of the standard $10. Instant in-game betting, concierge player service. Sport Trade delivers a premium betting experience like no other. Live in Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, Arizona, and Virginia. Download Sport Trade today, code VEASAN. Get 10% cash back on every wager during your first week. Got to be 21 or older to play. Get it now, Sport Trade. Terms apply. Code VEASAN.
Manti Te'o on the program coming up next. We'll ask him about that. Defending the quarterback. Is he going to slide? Is he sliding late? Is he going to fake it? Is he going to try to bait me out of bounds? What's it like trying to defend that?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We continue talking Championship Sunday as we're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. And Manti Te'o joins the program now. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. You can catch Manti Te'o every Tuesday on Airing It Out with Bob Papa, and it's from 10 until noon Eastern Time on Sirius XM Radio Channel 88 and on the Sirius XM app. Manti, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Appreciate it, guys. I'm great, man. How you guys doing? I know everybody's excited about this weekend. And I'm excited too. So how's everybody doing?
Doing really well. I want to begin with this. We were just talking in the last segment about how difficult it is and how aggravating it is just to watch Patrick Mahomes now play quarterback. Used to love the guy, but as a guy who played linebacker and trying to defend this stuff, what is it like when a quarterback is running at you during a play? And he's either going to be sliding late, he's going to try to fake a slide, or he's trying to bait you as he's going out of bounds. It has to be almost impossible to defend that.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation. I'm glad that I got out of the game when we could still hit quarterbacks and hit them fair and square. Now what I'm seeing in the game, honestly, it really irks me how the game is being officiated right now. I know we're trying to keep the game safe, but I honestly think we can use some common sense and to what's a dirty play and what's not a dirty play. And I think a lot of the times these quarterbacks have been enabled to make certain decisions that put defenders in a lose-lose situation. And that's just the facts of what it is. And you've seen quarterbacks run down the sideline. And as defenders, we know what the rule is. So we try to let up a little bit and then they continue to run down the sideline. We saw that, speaking about Patrick, we saw that against the Carolina Panthers on a game-winning drive when he was running down the left side of the field. And two defenders were coming to hit him, and they slowed up, and then he continued to run for 20 more yards, put his team in field goal position, kick the field goal, they win. And so we see this every single week. And as a defender, but more importantly, as somebody who just loves the purity of the game of football, I think it really, really takes away from the game, and it puts defenders in a lose-lose situation. And I think we can do a better job at, kind of seeing what is a dirty play and what isn't. I think we're trying to make this game safe, and I'm all for that. I also think that these quarterbacks and offensive players are taking advantage of some of these rules to get those 15-yard late hit penalties, unnecessary roughness penalties, whatever it may be. So I'm all for changing those rules.
Now that is a phenomenal answer. Okay, so in that game then, the Chiefs out here in Vegas and beyond, a small favorite at home. They're lane 2. Of course, they lost to Buffalo early on in the regular season, but Buffalo has never been able to beat this team in the postseason, including last year when they had them at home. Who do you like in this game, Manti?
I like the Bills. I like the Buffalo Bills, and this is why. Obviously, I think that where Josh Allen is at, he's having an MVP season. We just saw last week when the two probably MVP favorites, faced each other, and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, that Josh Allen had the better game. And, you just look at how he's played this 2024 season. Everybody came to the season questioning how is he going to respond to not having some of his main weapons in Stephon Diggs and, Gabe Davis. And I think what some people don't realize is when you don't have a go-to receiver, that plays into your it plays into your advantage a little bit, because now you don't have plays that are schemed to just get one guy open. When you have somebody that wants the ball all the time, oftentimes coordinators will drop plays where you have to get the ball to this guy. Well, this year, Josh Allen didn't have that guy, so he's able to step back, analyze the whole defense, and, act accordingly. And fortunately for the Buffalo Bills, they have an offensive coordinator in Joe Brady, who was with us in New Orleans when I was there in 2017 to 2019. And he has the offensive mind to take advantage of certain defenses and their weaknesses. And when you pair that kind of coordinator up with Josh Allen, you get the type of season that you're getting. And then looking at the Chiefs, they love to run man, and man coverage against a quarterback that can scramble is a recipe for disaster for a defense. And so, Coach Spags is going to have a wrinkle in there. But again, how Josh Allen is playing, they have Khalil Shakir, who plays a slot, who is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated receivers in the game. And they utilize the running backs really well in the passing game that puts linebackers in the position where no linebacker, I don't know any type of linebacker that wants to play man-to-man coverage all game. And if you're going to do that against the Buffalo Bills, they have the talent to beat you. So I like the Buffalo Bills. I'm cheering for the Buffalo Bills, and I hope that Josh Allen does very, very well.
What would you do if you're Washington, and how do you take away this Barry Sanders home run threat here with Barkley, who continues to get it done every single game and gashed them in the first meeting in Philadelphia? What would the game plan be there?
Well, the game plan, number one, is stopping the number 26 in Saquon Barkley, because they did win the game last week, but Jahmyr Gibbs, who also wears number 26 for the Detroit Lions, had a pretty good game and was getting a lot of yardage against that defense. So number one is you want to stop that run game. And then once you do that, you want to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket. I think Jalen Hurts is an extraordinary talent. But when he is forced to stay between the tackles and you keep him in that pocket, he's not as dangerous as when he gets to extend plays, get outside the tackle. We've seen him step up in the A or B gaps often and run to the sideline, extend plays, hit A.J. Brown down the sideline. So when you're able to keep him in the nest, he's not as effective. Now, I'm not saying that he's not good. It's just if I had to choose between the two poisons, I'd rather the one when he's staying in the pocket. And I think the first time they played him, the Commanders did a very, very good job for 3 quarters and keep him in the pocket. And then the fourth quarter came. They started to, Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, started to switch things a little bit. And, Jalen started to get out and do what he does best. So number one is stopping the run. And number two is keeping Jalen Hurts between the tackles, behind the line of scrimmage. If you can do that, I think you can, you set yourself up for success. And then you let Jaden Daniels do what he's been doing all year.
How surprised are you with Washington being here and what Daniels has done as a rookie and doesn't turn it over?
I wouldn't say I'm very surprised. It's very rare you get a rookie quarterback that's paired up with a first-year head coach, even though Dan Quinn has been a head coach, for the Atlanta Falcons, and has been in the game for a long time. It's very rare do you get that type of result from a first-year head coach and a first-year quarterback and a staff like Cliff Kingsbury that comes in there and has that type of success. But when you think about Dan Quinn and you think about where he's been, the cultures that he's been able to build, whether it's at Atlanta, whether it's as a D coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys for the last few years, you see how dominant that Cowboys defense was with him. And then you see the signings that they had. Not only is Jaden Daniels one of the focal points, but when you sign a Bobby Wagner to be the general of your defense, and you sign a Marshawn Lattimore, and you see that type of chemistry, and you see how it kind of spills over to the other players, like Frankie Louvu, who had an all-pro year. And again, you can't help but think that having a Bobby Wagner in the same room as somebody like Frankie Louvu, who has all the athletic abilities in the world, how that kind of carries over to his success on the football field. So am I surprised? Yes. But when you really look at it and you look at all the pieces that they have there, the new management, new ownership, it was just a recipe for success. And I'm glad that they've had it because they've been looking for it for a long time.
Do they have enough to win on Sunday?
Oh, they definitely do. I mean, they showed that not only the first three quarters of the first meeting with the Eagles, but I know they won the last one. And, Jalen Hurts was knocked out with a concussion early in the game. But the thing that stood out for me in that game was Jaden Daniels had to win that game late in the game. And he did that not only with his feet, but with his decision-making, with his accuracy. And I think that's the thing that really stands out to me about Jaden Daniels is his decision-making. He can run, he can throw, he's extremely accurate on the deep ball. But it's his ability to know when to run and when to pass, when to run out of bounds, when to throw it away. And I think he's light years ahead of a rookie quarterback that you would expect in the National Football League as far as his maturity in his decision-making.
90 seconds, Manti. What'd you think of your Irish and the season they had and what Freeman's done with that program?
I'm extremely proud at my team. I'm extremely proud at the University of Notre Dame. I know this for sure, and I believe this wholeheartedly, that leadership with Marcus Freeman is only going to result in more wins and more appearances in the national championship. You see how we were able to fight late in the second half, and how the boys were able to respond. So I'm more than confident that we'll be back in that championship game sooner than later. We had a very young team, and unfortunately, we ran into an Ohio State team that was well coached, and they had the talent to really put it on you. And I can't be more excited for the Fighting Irish and where we're going in the future. And I think it's just the arrow points up from here. And, it's good to be an Irish fan from here on out. Yeah,
you're spot on. You can hear Manti Te'o every Tuesday on Airing It Out with Bob Papa. That's 10 until noon Eastern time. And that's on SiriusXM NFL Radio Channel 88 and on the SiriusXM app. That was awesome, Manti. Thanks for the time today. We appreciate that.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If you listen to Marcus Freeman, like during the in-game interviews and stuff like that, he actually takes time to give the sideline interviewer detailed answers, and he's absolutely fantastic. So I know he screwed up a couple of situations in the national title game, but I think their ceiling is incredible. We'll go over adjusted win totals now, how they look compared to the start of the season in the NBA coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
You want the good news or the bad news first? As the Eagles injury report just dropped moments ago.
Give me the bad.
The bad news for the team is that Dallas Goedert did not practice today. Neither did center Cam Jurgens. They were both DNPs. That's the bad news. The good news is that quarterback Jalen Hurts and rookie cornerback Quinyon Mitchell practiced in full.
All right, that's good. That's good. Just got to get Goddard okay. Little birdie told me Daniels might be bothered by the hip. And then certainly if he's unable to move like he's used to normally does, and he takes a big hit now that the down a lineman, and here comes Carter and the boys. You see Stafford, he cracked 4 ribs? So that's That's a big deal.
How good was that game?
Oh, that game was awesome.
I can't get over how good that game was.
I got to go back and watch it again. I've seen it.
Did you hear,
twice.
by the way, it was players after the game said, I never want to play in that ever again. I think it was A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown said, well, I dropped the touchdown.
Typical SEC player, too, commenting. Yeah.
I can't believe he dropped that. It was a beautiful throw.
Yeah.
Could have been a different game. Got him up 10, and then who knows what happens. But between the snow and how it played out and the Barkley runs, it was phenomenal. I couldn't get enough of it.
Run these down now.
Yeah, so your biggest movement here in adjusted win totals from where we were at beginning of the season, the biggest increases, Cavs plus 16, Pistons plus 13, Clippers plus 12, Rockets plus 9, Thunder plus 8. Teams that win totals decreased the most, Pelicans minus 22.
Oh.
Whew. Sixers minus 14. Again, ESPN.com, the only team to get an F so far. Raptors minus 7, Jazz and Wizards likewise. Atlanta 43.5. Before the season, it was 36.5. Boston still 58.5. So where it is right now, where it was before the season. Nets tanking for Flag, 22.5, now 19.5. Some other big movers. Cavs was 48.5, now it's 64.5. Pistons, 25.5. That was their win total. They're now 38.5. ESPN thinks they could win maybe 50 games.
Why not?
Absolutely they could. 38.5, they're too low. How well they're playing. Houston.
That number is, that seems way too low.
Yep. Houston, 43.5. They're at 52.5 for their win total.
They're real, and that is spectacular. Currently the number 2 seed overall. They were between 100 and 150 to 1 to win the title before the year started. I was looking, I don't know what went on, and I have them 70 to 1 to win the West. I don't even remember making the bet.
Wow.
I think it was when Jeff Sherman actually reached out and said, hey, the Rockets are going to be really good this year. You might want to grab some futures. It had to be then.
I didn't think 2 or 3 seed. That's definitely going to happen. Clippers, 35.5. They're now 47.5. What a job by that organization, and also the year Powell's had. Pelicans, 23.5.
Well, again,
what do you do? 45.5.
They've had 8 zillion injuries.
Yep.
And at this point, I don't even know what to say about Zion Williamson.
I know. Oklahoma City, 64.5. They're 8-1 to win 70 games. They're laying 13 tonight against Dallas.
That's up, by the way. that was 11.5, I believe.
Philly, 35.5. It was 49.5 before the season. Oh, boy. I don't know if they could. ESPN says they're going to win 34 games.
At what point do they just completely,
it's here.
They're going to, right? Is this it?
It's here. They're 3 games behind the Bulls.
No, I'm saying.
They keep losing. They're going to punt on the season.
And then do Embiid trade talks ever heat up?
I referenced that while you were out. I watched the Brian Windhorn's podcast, and it's like Tim McMahon said. This is like the Ben Simmons deal.
It's exactly.
Mitch, he doesn't play. He's due $60 million at the back end of the deal. He's played 13 games.
Yeah,
what are you going to get for him?
They thought they were putting together a super team with Embiid, Ben Simmons, and then bringing in James Harden.
Yeah, and I know we did a little bit on air. A lot of it was off air. But every time I would listen to that, because Tim Bontemps would cover the Sixers, he was talking about how great they were and how much talent and how good they were going to be next year. And I'm like, Tim, they don't play. Paul George is always hurt. Embiid is always hurt. Mm-hmm. You got to factor that in. And this is a debacle. Blazers, 25.5 right now. They were 21.5. Kings, 43.5. They were 46.5. They're playing great ball now under Christie.
They are good.
They are. Raptors, 29.5 before the season, 22.5 right now. And the Jazz are 20.5. They were 27.5. The Wizards are 13.5. They were 20.5 before the season.
Aren't the Jazz, don't they want to tank? I know that they've been competitive here lately, but don't they want to tank for Flag as well?
Yes, they do. Yep.
And I haven't watched every Duke game, and he's not going to be Wembanyama because nobody is, but I like Flag. He just turned 18 years old, and I don't say this a lot, especially about Duke guys coming out of college. In fact, I rarely ever like those guys because the history just tells you that they're not going to really be that prolific and have long NBA careers. I think this guy can be different. I think the teams that are going to be in the mix for him and get the number 1 overall pick and take him, they're going to be getting the right guy.
What do you think tonight?
Okay, so
tough card because a lot of big spreads and a lot of back-to-backs and some funky stuff going on.
Back-to-backs again.
Yep.
Well, okay, so I'm on the wrong end of this one, evidently. I bet the Lakers +5 tonight in the game against the Celtics. I bet that early in the morning, and I'm looking at the screen right now. The Celtics are now up to 6.5. So I think that we maybe have some news there, because last night, again, the Celtics, they sat a couple of guys, but the thought was maybe because Brown and Tatum played so many minutes in overtime last night that they would not go tonight. And maybe we have news now that they're going to have a full allotment of guys to go with here. And hence the move on that spread. But I will say that the over is 6-1 last 7 times that these two teams have met. So, but 6.5, I'll have to re-examine here during one of the breaks to see exactly what happened.
Got to get this one. It's a great spot for the Lakers. You got to win this game. I don't care that you're that big of a dog.
An awesome spot.
Celtics going to overtime. Come on, you're sitting there. Mm-hmm. Your big rival. Get this one done. Although the thing that stings is they traded Russell and they're worse defensively.
Yeah.
The Lakers they're so bad defensively that can't happen. So I know I saw Shams today that AD and LeBron think they're one piece away from being able to make a deep postseason run. We'll see what they'll do with the deadline coming up, but 22nd in defense, not going to get it done. Clippers have covered 14 to the last 16 against the Wizards. Mackinnon had that today on vsin.com. They're playing people tonight, laying 13.5 against the god-awful Wizards. Money coming in on the Bulls. I understand why. Warriors on a back-to-back. Warriors would be out of the playoffs right now as they continue to tumble. Big opportunity here for the Bulls. Got the big win against the Clippers on the road the other night. They continue their road trip, and I'm gonna do it again. Apologies last night. They got me good. I like this Atlanta team. They've had some nice wins. Pistons took them out, no problem. But now they're at home again, and they're taking on the Raptors, and the market again coming in on Atlanta. So some 6.5s now. So I'm going to go again with the Hawks to get it done. Best Bets brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of VSiN. If you're serious about sports betting, you need the G-Bank Visa Signature Card. Most credit cards treat sports books and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when you put your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right there. You'll get a $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in your first 90 days. Apply now, vsin.com/gbank, vsin.com/gbank, subject to credit approval.
Also in that game, Raptors-Hawks, Atlanta 45-23 to the over since 2022 when they're playing in at least a fourth game in 6-day stretch. So the Blazers are playing the Magic tonight. Franz Wagner was upgraded to questionable for the game. He last played on December 6th. His points prop was hovering around 18.5 for this game tonight. He would be, if you go back and look, he would be 17-1 over that number from November 4th to December 6th. His number when healthy, points prop, hovered between 24.5 and 29.5. That's how well he was playing and how many points he was scoring like every single night. However, tonight, first game back in a month and a half, tells me, obviously, minutes restriction is going to be coming, and I do not want to be involved by telling you to go bet the over on that because who knows how long he's actually going to play in the game. And
they helped out the Bucks. They moved the game back an hour.
They did, okay. Yeah. Again, they were expected to get back to Milwaukee from New Orleans at past 5 o'clock local time tonight for a 6:30 tip. Another nugget on that Bulls-Warriors game. So the Dubs played last night on the road. Now, albeit that was in Sacramento, right down the road, about a 90-minute drive, give or take. This is another nugget from Mackinnon. Host teams playing in a back-to-back when they go away the first night and then home the next night, like the Warriors are tonight, are 22-35 straight up and 20-36 in one ATS since the beginning of last season. That is not, and then money on Chicago because it's down to a pick'em now here at Circa. 9-1 to the over between the Bucks and the Heat. Their last 10, the last meeting did stay under, so it had won at least 9 straight before that. And the Mavs are playing the Thunder. You mentioned the Thunder up to 13 now. The Mavs are 13-4 ATS playing on the road in a third game in 4-day stretch since the beginning of last season. Have all that tonight going on in the NBA. Really big card tonight.
And the Spurs already pummeled the Pacers in France.
Yeah.
I beat them by 30 as a dog.
I think you're right. Lakers have got, come on.
God, come on.
Up next,
great spot.
JP Flame joins the program. He hosts the Sports Junkies on 106.7 The Fan in D.C. My prediction is that a D.C. host will absolutely say take the 6 points. I'll buy lunch for the entire crew if I'm wrong.